guys. Welcome to Grounded with John Tester and Maritsa Giorgio. I almost forgot the name of our show. I'm so tired.
Yeah, you've been running 36-hour days, huh? That's good.
Not quite, but it's been busy. We're going to let some people get on here, but I am in Georgia.
Yeah, the question is where we're at in Georgia.
So I'm about an hour outside of Atlanta. And I'm here working with the Save America movement. And we did some work with them when I was in Minneapolis too. And we're really just here looking into this warehouse in Social Circle, Georgia, that DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, just purchased for more than $128 million.
So social circle sounds like a gated community to me. I mean, tell me how many people live in social circle.
It's not a gated community. It's about 5,000 people. And I looked it up. There's actually okay, so there's it's a really cute downtown area, Main Street area. Um, and honestly, it's just there are some shops that are abandoned. Like they could definitely it could use visitors to town and a little bit of a cash influx, I think. But the places I went into just so cute. The people are so nice, and there's a wishing well in the middle of the street, like the main street. And the lore is that somebody basically came to town and there was a group of people sitting around this well, and he said this is a really nice social circle, and that's how it got its name.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's cool. That's
Yeah, but
I
there's
can
this
I can.
cute
I mean, it's
little.
kind of like Big Sandy got its name because there was a lot of sand. I mean, what the hell? It
Is that
works.
really
Okay,
why?
I have no idea. At any rate, that's not what we're here to
So
talk
I'll
about.
show you this. This is a mural in town, and it's Social Circle, established in 1832, Georgia's greatest little town. It really is a really cute little town. I mean, the city
Okay.
hall looks like it's out of a movie. But yes, we're here because this town, somebody told me it is painfully uneventful to live in Social Circle. And that is not the case recently because it has become the focus of this national story about DHS buying up warehouses with the purpose of turning them into mega large scale ICE detention facilities. And so that is what happened. The DHS purchased this warehouse, and I actually FaceTimed you while I was out there today, Senator. But I mean, this warehouse is a totally blank canvas, brand new, down to the stuff. I mean, it's just industrial support beams inside, completely open, more than 1 million square feet. And DHS purchased this for more than $128 million, almost 5 times
Who
what it was.
who ori who originally built the warehouse?
Well, it was owned by this group called PNK. And so that's been kind of like one of these controversies, right? Is that PNK, has a Russian connection. And so a lot of people are saying, why? Like, the big question we're trying to figure out is, how did they pick this town? How did they pick this town? And I talked to some folks in town today, and they said, well, there's been a lot of pushback already in town because our costs are going up because there have been a lot of data centers built here. And one of the data centers is owned by Meta in Social Circle, Georgia, a town of 5,000 people.
Yeah, so just and I'm gonna ask you questions you can't answer, but who built the damn
Well,
warehouse? Is the PNK the outfit that built the warehouse? Has it ever been used? Uh,
I think I think that is right. So I went to their website. Like they have all of these. They're called the new generation of industrial buildings. So they have all of these warehouses basically for sale. And so it's P&K Group is an investor, and they say a vertically integrated developer of multifunctional industrial buildings. So I was out there with you. I mean, this was intended to be kind of like an Amazon warehouse. I mean, there were dozens of loading docks, right? I mean, and I walked the length of the building. I'm a pretty fast walker, ask my son. He gets frustrated with me because I walk ahead of him, and it took me more than 6 minutes to walk from one end of the building to the other. It is massive, and you see pictures of this, and it's like so much more shocking when you're there and seeing it in person. But go ahead.
But it's an empty warehouse, right? I mean, the pictures you showed
Completely
me,
empty.
it was just totally empty. So they've got to retrofit this if they're gonna make it into a prison. They're gonna
That
have to retrofit.
is that's the thing. I mean, there's so much work to do, okay? There's so much work to do.
And they're
So a
already
couple
130,000,000 into this, and they're gonna probably spend God only knows how much to retrofit it, probably that much again,
let's think about just like if you were to retrofit it for like a warehouse, just an actual
right?
warehouse, right? What
But
you would
there's
need to
no
put in there to
but
furnish it and outfit it. But you need to if they want to house up to 10,000 people here, and it was
wow.
a detention center. So, what do you need at a detention center? I mean, you're gonna need sally ports, and you're gonna need fencing, and you're gonna need like the highest tech surveillance systems. I mean, that is the thing, and it's close to the school in town. I talked to some parents who are very worried about that, and what that would mean. Not to mention, they think it's going to, like, employ anywhere, like, up to 2,500 people, and so the town is saying, "We have, like, 2 or 3 gas stations. We don't have, like, even just for that many people to work there." The resources are not abundant in this town to service that many people coming and going. So a lot of people, yeah, we have comments saying this is happening in Maryland too. Yeah, I mean, these things, so this is one of 8 that they plan to acquire for the DHS plans to acquire for these mega centers, but then there are, I think, 16 more sites they want to acquire for processing centers. So this is a lot. But one thing that I discovered today in my reporting and kind of connecting with people, I talked to someone who has deep knowledge about real estate transactions within the federal government. Okay. Somebody who
Yeah.
knows a lot about this from experience. And this person told me that there are a few things that really jump out as like, oh, that is very fishy. That doesn't smell right. So the first thing is that basically if there's any kind of acquisition, whether it's a lease or to buy, it goes through the General Services Administration. Okay. That's not what happened here. This like, all of the documentation says Department of Homeland Security. Now, under normal circumstances, um, let me pull up my notes here because I don't wanna get this wrong, but under normal circumstances, GSA would acquire a property, okay, or acquire the lease. So it's highly, unusual that it would just be going through DHS. And so there are like, levels, different levels and like tiers of employee status within GSA. So normally what would happen is somebody within each agency has like a liaison within GSA that they go to and say, "This is our need. This is our need. This is what we're looking for." And yeah, you probably know this better than I do, Senator.
I
So
do.
jump in if I'm wrong.
I
Well,
know
tell
I
me.
mean, I do because there was a federal courthouse in Missoula, Montana that we were trying to get released, and I think we did to the city and to the county government to be able to use, and we had to go through GSA to get that done, and the reason GSA exists is they know what buildings are worth, and they don't they pay, they're tough negotiators. They pay rock bottom for this stuff, and to pay what did you say it was originally sold for 28,000,000 and DHS bought it for 129,000,000, is that correct?
128, a little more than 128,000,000. Yeah, and I think it was around so
Yeah.
I wanna just
So if
shout
you
out because we have someone
if what I'm
we
saying is if you wanna expedite the land purchasing price, land purchasing for the federal government, which is a lengthy process, by the way, you can do it real easy if you pay way over market value, which I
like
wonder if
5
there was any
times.
I wonder if there's any assessment done on this or any sort of, real value done or if they just walked in and paid the Russians what they wanted for it. You said PNK was a Russian company?
Yeah, let me just pull up those ties. So so I do want to shout out because we have somebody watching on Substack, and she says she lives here and her professional career is in commercial real estate. I know this property. Hey, please get in contact. Groundedpcast@gmail.com. I would love to talk to you more about this. Yeah, so let's see. PNK is a Russian state-backed entity.
Yeah.
Russian state-backed entity. So
Now, let me tell you something. I happen to be at a military conference right now, and Russia's brought up quite a bit, along with China. And why are we doing business with a Russian-backed company? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever,
I'm
and
paying
it
five
doesn't
times the assessed
and pay
value.
5 times the investment, uh, and by the way, it goes against our national security, period. This sale, this thing doesn't pass a smell test. And then they've gotta put a bunch more money in it to ma I mean, you talked about fencing, I'm thinking about plumbing, I'm thinking about water, I'm thinking about
We're
light,
gonna get there.
I'm
Yeah,
thinking
we're gonna
about
get
walls and doors and prison cells, and I mean, this is gonna be expensive as hell. Why didn't they just buy a prison that isn't being used anymore, if
well,
that's what they want?
that's what some of these private companies who run these detention centers are saying, like, that they said that in some earnings calls just a couple weeks ago, like, "Hey, we have these facilities that aren't being used." So here's where it gets weird. So you go through normally you go through GSA, and GSA has a playbook, okay? So normally what happens, like, every agency has a
A
client manager
liaison.
at
Yeah,
GSA, a
yeah.
liaison. So they go, they say, "This is our need, blah, 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 blah," and this person who I talked to with deep knowledge of real estate transactions within the federal government told me they are shocked that this property was acquired because GSA almost always will tell them, "We need to lease this. It is
That's
more
correct.
cost effective to lease this because you don't know how long you're gonna need it." And they have a formula and they lease it. In fact, there is this NPR there's this NPR article from 2014 that talks about this whole thing to rent or buy. It's complicated within the federal government. And in this article, it says that a lot of it is because quote, procuring upfront capital has been an increasing problem in a cash strapped Congress, which is another reason this person said this is very, very like unusual to buy this property, not just this property though, up to 8 properties they want to acquire for these mega centers. And so even on the sign outside of this facility, it says to lease. So they're questioning, like, why would DHS buy this and it wouldn't go through GSA? And why would they buy it and not lease it? That kind of goes against, like, it's just outside of the normal protocol.
I would really like to know as a taxpayer, I'd really like to know if they did an appraisal on it or to pay market value. I mean, I mean, I get this administration wants to speed things up. They want to speed up the government process, but you can speed up anything if you throw enough money at it. I mean, you can speed up anything if you throw enough money at it. The truth is, you're not getting fair market value for it if you do that, though. This is pretty wild, and not even get into the point that this is a detention center, which is pretty wild. The 10,000 people you said it would hold.
Up to 10,000, that's what's being reported.
That's a chunk of folks. That's
It's a
and
chunk
I
of
assume
folks.
these are immigrants that have come to the country, or are these U.S. citizens? Do they told who it is?
Well, it's for ICE detainees. So assuming people that they're planning to deport. But, like I said, I
Man,
mean,
I gotta tell you, I don't know. I don't. Number one, where's Congress? Which I ask every one of these podcasts. Where's Congress at? Number one. Number two, where's the Republican Party that we're fiscally conservative? Because this doesn't look very fiscally conservative to me. And they need to be because truthfully, even Democrats like me are concerned about the debt for sure. And if we just continue spending money, and the debt's gone up since this president's been in office, if we're going to continue to do this kind of stuff, it's going to go up more and more and more and more and more.
yeah,
Crazy.
it's been quite a day. It's interesting too. I talked to a lot of people here. Almost everyone knew about it, but not everyone like knew the full extent of everything.
Yeah.
And I'm going to talk to the city manager on Monday. But
And
One
and
woman I go ahead.
well, I was gonna ask you one more thing. You put 10,000 people in a town of 5,000. Do they have the infrastructure to take care of that? Do they have sewer and water infrastructure? Even if they do get it into the building in a way that's
Yeah,
human, that's humane, I should say,
yeah.
do they have the sewer and water system or treatment system to take care of that? Do they have the
Well,
water to supply it?
that's a huge question. So before I move on from that, I forgot I was gonna show you this. So this is from the GSA leasing desk guidelines, basically. You can find it online, and I'll post a link to this. But this whole, policy that really goes back to 2010 called freeze the footprint, reduce the footprint policies. It really the government's been trying to sell off
That's
properties,
correct.
right?
That's
Like, they have not.
see the courthouse in Missoula, Montana. That's a
Yeah.
fact. And a lot more
So
too, by the way.
this is, because, you as a reporter, you talk to sources, you gotta verify this stuff, and so this is in the handbook. But I'm glad you asked about that because up until a few days ago, city officials here in Social Circle said, "Uh, we have not heard anything. We have not been in contact, okay, with the federal government." So then a few days ago, they released this statement, on the 18th, okay? And so basically, they met with representatives from DHS, and look at this. So we talked about those upgrades, Senator, right? That they would need
Yeah,
to be able to fit this for 10,000 people,
yeah.
detainees. Um, Here is the deal. There are no construction contracts that have been awarded yet, okay, for the build out. They plan to award one within the next week. This was 3 days ago. So within the next 4 days from when we're talking right now. And it could be delayed because of this government shutdown we're in. But once it's awarded, the estimated construction timeline is approximately 60 to 75 days.
2.5
So
months.
intake would start mid-May and June and employ 2,000 to 2,500 staff members. 60 to 75 days to build out
Well,
that
uh,
million square foot facility.
well, I've said it before, I say it again. Congress needs to do their job. They need to monitor what's going on here. The Committee on Homeland Security needs to be all over what's going on here, and they should have been on it before now. Because the truth is that the administration is doing stuff that I have not heard anything of this talked about in Congress at all. And Congress is Article 1 for a reason. It's their job to make a determination on how this money is to be spent. I know they gave them a lump sum of money in the big beautiful bill, I believe it was, and it was a
Yes.
huge sum of money, more than the Marine Corps is what I've been told.
Yes.
And now they're burning through it. I mean, the Secretary of Homeland Security is buying 747s with beds in the back buying these facilities. I mean, where the hell is the oversight? There's got to be some oversight here. These guys are
So
going to
you talked
run us
about,
in the ground.
yeah, I mean, that's the concern, and it's funny, let me get back to this in a second, because I wanna, like, put a pin in that running us into the ground thing. Um, this is part of that statement from the city, okay? Um, and it says that the city's concerns regarding water and sewer infrastructure have not been addressed.
Yeah.
Okay. It says that they have more questions than answered after this meeting. And so they talk about like already being at capacity for sewer treatment and for water.
Which is fairly common in most cities around. That's fairly common. They
Yes.
need more capacity. They don't need to be
S-
overloaded.
So the city's current wastewater system processes 660,000 gallons a day. It's already operating at capacity. It cannot accommodate an increase in usage of this magnitude. So you think about 10,000 people, tripling the population overnight, and then 2,000 to 2,500 employees. And
Yeah.
so there is this part of it, but then there's also this last section, which is really fascinating. Yeah, this isn't a town. It's a city, tiny little city. So, to be clear, this is the last part of this statement from the city of Social Circle. The city has repeatedly communicated that it does not have the capacity or resources to accommodate this demand, and no proposal presented to date has demonstrated otherwise. The Department of Homeland Security has stated that an economic impact study has been conducted in connection with this proposed facility. However, city officials have not received a copy of that study and are awaiting the opportunity to review the analysis.
Nothing
So,
like nothing like having Big Brother run right over the top of you. I'm telling you.
I mean, there's
Where
just
have we
no way
seen this
to
before?
even yeah, like, to even do a study like that, and I'm thinking about, where I live, Senator in Missoula, when they have big projects like this, there's a public comment period.
Yep,
There's, like, meetings and people come out. I mean, you wanna put up a hotel or new luxury condos on the riverbank in Missoula? I mean, you hear about it because people are
yep,
talking about it. There's a public comment period. There is all kinds of impact studies, and it takes time. This
yeah,
has
it does.
been just overnight. So, there is a lot to unpack here and a lot to learn, and my brain is a little bit
Well,
fried. But you mentioned
maybe
about
maybe
but
people within the administration should buy their home there and live in that environment that they're creating, and because the truth is it's gonna raise hell with the community. I mean, you've gotta work with these communities. You gotta work with state government. You can't just come in and do what this administration has done over and over and over again, and that is Bigfoot their communities. I mean, you want to have folks develop a real hatred for the federal government. This is a great way to do it. And that's not needless to say about how these people are going to be treated. 10,000 people in a facility that is a warehouse at this moment in time. I can't imagine it's going to be put together in a way that there will be humane treatment of the folks with good sewer, good water, basic necessities, which is the way we treat people.
to be built in 60 to 75 days.
That's
So
right.
you mentioned, I talked to a lot of people on the ground today, and this town is very conservative. Okay, this is Trump country. Interestingly, driving in to town, I saw a ton of signs. Mike Collins for Senate. He's a representative running for Senate. I did not see one MAGA sign. Lots of Republican signs, but no Trump signs. And then when I got to town and I was talking to people, I did talk to some people who don't have a problem with ICE, but they're concerned about what this is going to do to the town. Then I talked to one woman, and when I first asked her about it, I said, "Well, what do you think?" She's like, "Well, who cares? Like, what are we going to do? Like, we need to do something about the strain on our resources, right? Like, why should these people get, help or benefits when I don't qualify for help. I don't qualify for government assistance. I make too much and I need help." And so we kind of talked to her about that a little bit and talked to her about like, well, she said they need to come here the legal way. They need to come here legally and
That's true.
they should go down the path. Okay. But then I said, well, how do you feel about ICE agents showing up to naturalization ceremonies and pulling people out of line before they be like, literally after they've done all the work? She said, "Does that happen?" I said, "Yeah, that's happened."
Look,
And she said, "Well, that's really awful. It's really sad." And I
you
said,
got it.
"Yeah, and they did the work." So then so then one of our crew said, "Well, you say you want like you need more help. You need more resources. How do you feel about them paying $100 million more for this facility than it's valuated at?" And she said, "What?" So, there is something there. There is something there,
Well,
and
look,
she
it's
said, "I'm
it.
glad you're here."
Well, I mean, look, we're glad you're there. Stay safe. But the
Will
truth
do.
is that if people watch certain news networks, they know less about what's going on than if they watch no news at all. And I'm not gonna bring any names. You know what I'm talking about. That fox is in the hen house, so to speak. But
Sly,
you
you're
know,
sly. Yeah.
sly, very sly. Very sly. But the truth is that's a fact. I mean, that's a proven fact, by the way, that I've heard years and years and years ago that there are some networks out there that if you watch them after you get done, you know less about what's really going on than if you didn't watch the news at all. What they say is the news when in fact it's entertainment. If it was real news, they'd get awards for good reporting, and they don't. And
We're
so,
we're really
that
hoping to shed
I'm
light
sure
on
that
this.
the lady, if it's a real conservative country, I can tell you one of the 3 stations that she's watching all the time. And you don't find out what's really going on, and it's going on in her backyard. which is the interesting thing. So, I'm not saying anybody's bad for what they're watching, but the truth is, if you really want to know what's going on, you gotta diversify your news intake. That's for damn
Well,
sure.
and I think we also need to recognize, and I have to constantly, like, bring myself back down to earth on this because people do not consume news the way I do and in the amount I do.
In the
You need
volume you
to
do, yeah.
Right, you need to remember that, and so many people I hear from either say, "We are just I'm just tired and I'm exhausted and it's depressing and I don't wanna watch it and it's too much and I need to pull back from my mental health," which 100% take care of your mental health. And that's why we do what we do to try to, like, parse it down for you so it's palatable and easy to consume without
Yep,
totally ruining your life.
yep,
But also people have jobs to work,
yeah, that's right.
kids to take care of, parents to take care of, other responsibilities, and they don't always have the bandwidth to consume news. And so
That's
I
right.
do want to get a little bit of grace to that. But this is a really perfect example of something happening very, very hyper locally that could have great impacts. I mean, this is one of 8 planned mega centers that they want to acquire, and this could impact us. And I think about, like, our conversation with Rachel Maddow and her podcast, which again is so excellently done, Burn Order, all about the Japanese internment camps. And we talked about that. The difference here is that people are seeing what's happening and they are speaking out and they are going out and protesting and they are saying, like, we don't want this. And I even heard it today. Somebody said, well, I don't want it in my backyard. And that is what's happening. So I think there is a little bit of a difference, but
Yeah, I mean,
this is something.
yeah, I mean, look at this, whether you're for detention centers or against detention centers doesn't that isn't the issue here in this particular case. It's paying way over market value for a facility that's not made to be a prison and taking a community that doesn't have the infrastructure to handle it and overwhelming them with it. Like you say, there's 10,000 people. There's another 2,500 that are working there. So you're really talking about 12,500 people. You're talking two and a half times this population right now is going to be increased. Okay. That's just the increase. And the fact is they could do it a lot better, but Congress has to get into this mix and they have to tell the administration no once in a while. It's really important. That's what the forefathers had in mind. They just broke away from a king. They didn't want another king. That's why the Constitution says what it says. And if they did this and they decided, Congress decided, just like Congress needs to decide on tariffs, which is what the court said, which was the correct decision by the Constitution. But if Congress decides this is what they need to do, then that's fine. They'll go out and they'll do it. But you just can't let the administration run rogue. You cannot do that. It'll be a gross waste of taxpayer dollars, and I would be willing to bet a fair amount of money that the people that end up in this facility aren't gonna be treated very well at all from a humane perspective, and
Well,
the town's gonna get destroyed. We've
we've
seen that
already
Dilly.
seen that in Dili. Yeah, so many violations
Yep.
that have
Yeah,
been
it's just
officially
crazy.
written
It's
about,
nuts.
and
It's
that's
not
what
what
we
this
know about.
country not that this that's exactly right, and that's not what this country is set up to be. So, Maritza, anything else? Since I'm the reporter now and
Oh,
asking you the questions, is there
I
anything else
do.
you'd like to add to this podcast? Are those
Well,
bottles of beer back there on the counter? That's what I really wanna know.
gosh, if
Yeah.
they are, no,
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 they're
that's,
okay, okay. Okay,
dishwasher.
that's good, that's fine.
So one thing I did wanna mention, so we were at this facility, I'm here again working with the Save America movement,
Yep,
and, um, we were at this facility with our little crew, and we were there for, like, a little more than an hour. I did not, and I posted a video about this. We didn't know what to expect. We were actually talking in the car, like, "Well, we might have to, like, shoot outside of a fence, whatever." We pull up, there is nothing there, okay? No fence, no security gate, no signs that say no trespassing, no nothing. So we pull up, we park, we walk around it, we look in the windows, we do our thing. There are no cameras. And at one point, like, a truck, like, kind of stopped and looked and then left. And then shortly after that, a police car showed up. And so they, you know, asked the photographer, like, what are you guys doing? And he talked to them and they asked for his ID. and it was, like, kind of a weird thing, and so, we have our cameras on, and this police officer says, um, gives him back the ID, and a photographer says, "Well, are we, do we need to leave? Or are we in trouble?" And he's like, "Well, it's federal property, and if anything happens here, like, if it's vandalized, you'll be the last person we had contact with here." And it was so bizarre. And then a second police officer pulls up as we were leaving, and we, like, time-stamped it, and I called you right away, like, "We're leaving the property, nothing happened, we shot a lot of video, from the parking lot." And, there's been so much reporting here, and it's reported that there are only, 2 on-duty officers at a time, so they were both there checking us out.
Well, I've said for a long time, "You better watching," but, what's it
Like,
what
yeah, but they don't know that.
I know that, they don't know that. They might've got an email. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
Uh, so
John
so
Tester, listen.
that's right. I can't type, so it takes that
That's
out.
right.
But at any rate, it's interesting that the local police, they've obviously been cued into this, um, but it's interesting they do their bidding. But, it's cool. It's the way it is, they were doing their job, so
Yep.
go from there. Go from there.
So,
We'll
yeah,
see what happens.
I'm gonna be here, we're doing more reporting tomorrow, I'll be live with Steve Schmidt, and the Save America Movement on Monday after this, chat I'm having with the city manager, so we're just gonna keep unpacking stuff. If you all have questions, things that, like, we all have different areas of expertise, and our brains all work in very different ways, so
Yep.
something I'm thinking about might not be what you're thinking about, but that's good, that's why we collaborate on things. So if something pops into your head that we should be pulling on, please shoot me a message. You can email us at groundedpcast@gmail.com, or you can write us on Substack. And Senator, I hope you have a nice where do you want to say where you are?
I'm somewhere nicer than Atlanta, Georgia, let's just put it that way.
Hey, I think
No,
Atlanta's a
but it's
great
not nicer than Social Circle. With a name like Social Circle, I mean, man, that's top flight place. I mean, I don't know. It's gotta
it's
be
a
pretty
really
good.
cute little
Look,
town.
I bet it is. I actually, I say that in jest. I'll bet it is
Yeah.
a nice little community. So, actually big by Montana standards, 5,000 people is pretty good size, but,
That's way bigger than Big Sandy.
yeah, exactly, and way bigger in Kenilworth too, so it's good.
Oh,
All
all
right.
right. Hey, we wanna thank you guys. Let me know if you have any questions. I would love to hear from you. We're all in this together, learning as we go, and I'll keep posting updates, and, appreciate you hopping on with us.
Yeah, no hat today, so I got nothing to
Oh, yeah,
talk
you
about.
don't have a hat?
Tally ho, tally
I'll
ho.
still thank Pearl Jam for letting us use their music. Alright, thanks,
Damn right.
guys.